Welcome to today's session, one of the weekly series we have, and this is on Power BI. So beyond the desktop, for those who are into the Power BI domain, you will know we mean the Power BI desktop. And our speaker today is Joseph Fadero, and I'm going to do a bit more introduction of him. So this session is brought to you by Your BizEdge and MHS Analytics. Your BizEdge, we are a Nigerian consulting and training providing firm, like training solutions provider. So Excel training, Power BI, financial modeling, SQL training. You can reach out to us. And MHS Analytics is our North American arm. So if you are outside of Nigeria, you're in Europe, US, Canada, Australia, it's easier to, at least for the process of invoicing and all of those other things, that is easier when you're having to not send money to Nigeria, then this might be the entity to reach out to. And without taking too much time on the introduction, I'm going to focus on our presenter now and the session. So this session will be handled by Joseph Fadero. He's a certified Microsoft Data Analyst. He's a trainer. He's one of the amazing team members at dbrownconsulting. Consulting. He believes that data is the key to unlocking business growth. I'm going to share his LinkedIn uh, connect link in the Teams chat so that you can connect with him. If I joke that most of us in data analysis space, we always accept all connections because that's like additional data points. So I don't think you will struggle to find him accepting your LinkedIn connection. So that's it from me. I'm going to turn it over to our presenter. And so over to you, Joseph. I'll stop sharing my screen and you can take us away. By the way, he said that they would like to make the session a bit interactive, but I know that many of us are not having a speaker, like you're not you can't unmute and directly speak, but you can type in the chat. It's going to ask questions at some point. You can type. If you have questions, you also leave them in the chat, and for most of your questions at the end, it will handle them. So over to you, Joseph.
Okay, thank you very much, Michael, for the warm and pleasing introduction. Thank you once again. So good evening once again. Good evening, everybody. My name is Joseph Fadero, a BI analyst and a trainer with dbrownconsulting. Consulting. Let me just quickly share my screen so you can see. Okay, so my name is Joseph Fadero, a BI analyst / trainer with dbrownconsulting. Consulting. I have some couple of Microsoft certifications in data analysis, Azure, and Power Platform as well. So without wasting much time, Michael did justice to the introduction. Let's dive right in to what we have to do today, which is Power BI beyond the desktop. Beyond the desktop. But before I begin, I want to ask this simple question. So please, I like Michael said, I like my sessions to be interactive as possible. When was Power BI created? I have two questions. Just type it in the chat. When was Power BI created? Just quickly type it in the chat. When was Power BI created? Then, if you have the answer to that, my question is, why was Power BI created? When was Power BI created and why was Power BI created? So you can think about it. Think about it. You have AI now. You can you can leverage AI to give you some interesting answers and all. So kindly confirm you can hear me clearly. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we hear you loud and clear.
Okay, so you could just type in chat when Power BI was created and why Power BI was created. Okay, so to a number of you who, and for those who will be watching this recording as well, for a number of you which says 2015, the answer is indeed correct. 2015, Microsoft released the product we all know as Power BI has Power BI in 2015. That's when Microsoft officially released the product known as Power BI. But if I tell you Power BI itself was initially created much earlier than that 2015 itself, how many of us know that? So it's important to know that Power BI actually, and for those who did deep research on the history of Power BI initially started from Excel. Um, and it started around the time they were doing the Gemini project. Microsoft was doing that project, and it started initially in Excel when Microsoft released Power Pivot to solve a problem which pivot table initially had. So that's when the whole theories and the whole creation of Power BI started coming into place, but it wasn't as a full-fledged product until 2015. So the reason why I started off with this question is, why is this topic important? Why is Power BI beyond the desktop important? A number of people, they've reached out to me, they've like, oh, they've been learning data analysis and all. They know how to do visualization in Excel. They know how to do they know how to do visualization in Excel. They know how to do some reporting in Excel. They know how to do analysis in Excel. So why should they then afford to use Power BI? That's the question a lot of people normally ask me. And to a large extent, a number of
One
visualization.
person, sorry, Joseph. So someone typed an answer in the chat to your second part of the question.
Okay. Okay, that's an interesting answer. That's an interesting answer. I'll get back to that. So to a large extent, a number of people were to a large extent, a number of visualization and analysis you can do on Power BI, you can replicate them on Excel itself. So the truth of the matter is, as at 2010, the whole idea of Power BI was coming into place. The fact you need to clean your data, Power Query, I think Power Query came into Excel. Then you had Power Pivots. Then uh, you had the whole pivot table like feel in that's in 1995. So the reason why Power BI was now then created, if Excel can do a number of this analysis, why was Power BI itself created? Why didn't they just improve the analysis and the product services of Excel? Why was Power BI created? So one of the reasons why Power BI was created was people started coming to Microsoft based on complaints. They were making complaints. They can't share, and which is one of the current limitations some people face with Excel nowadays. You can't share your reports that you've created. The reports is silos. They have static version of report. They cannot automatically refresh their reports. They cannot control access to their reports and some couple of things like this. So that's the whole reason why Microsoft said, you know what, let's now create a separate entity as Power BI. And that's why Power BI has three major components. It has the desktop version, the mobile version, and the service version. A lot of us, I know a number of us, a couple of us, we've used Power BI desktop. We've used Power BI desktop. We're probably very, very familiar with Power BI desktop. But how many of us here have used Power BI mobile? How many of us have used Power BI service? And if you've used Power BI service, what have you used Power BI service to do? So you can think about the question. You can drop your answers in the chat as well. Drop your answers in the chat. How many of us have used either of these tools? You've used Power BI mobile, or you've used Power BI service, or you've not used anyone. You can just quickly drop it in the chat. Okay, so right now I have the desktop version or the desktop version of my screen. And for those who are um, probably new to Power BI, I'll just be showing how you can get to Power BI service then in Power BI service, we'll be doing some wonderful things as well. For some wonderful things as well. Okay, so first of all, if you've been using Power BI desktop for a while, kudos to you, kudos to you. So you know this part which I want to demonstrate is not new to you. Um, but for those that this may seem new, you have ideally you have a report on your desktop version. You publish it to the service version of Power BI so that you can share, you can get more insights, and there are a lot more things you can do with Power BI service just sharing your report. Thank you very much, Delvi. Thank you very much, Delvis. Thank you very much, Michael. Thank you very much, Tolulope, as well. So right now, it's important to know for you to publish your reports to Power BI service, you have to have a Microsoft work or school account. You can have, if you have a developer account, it gives you access to this as well. If you are working in an organization that already have Microsoft 365, you can use this and leverage this as well. So the first thing you can do is, okay, let me just show the simple report. It's just a simple report, nothing too fancy, nothing too fancy. Just a simple report. You have your report like this, and you want to share it with people. You want to share it with consumers. You want to share it with stakeholders to do and leverage more insight with your report. The first thing you need to do is publish it to Power BI service. Just simply publish your report to Power BI service. So right now, just click on the publish button, and the moment I'm about to publish, it asks me to save my changes, ideally, save your changes. Then it should just load for a bit. This part, it will ask you for a destination. Where do you want your report to be published? Where do you want your report to be published to? Do you want it to be published to My Workspace, Consulting? All these are workspaces. I'll be talking about them when we get to the service version of Power BI as well and their limitations. For this, I will publish it to Data Central. I could also publish it to My Workspace. My Workspace is the default workspace created for every single person that is using Power BI. Basically, it's the default workspace you have. But you can create workspace, and I'll be walking us through how we can do some of these things. I'll just select this Data Central workspace, and I'll select it. And the report we publish, just for some time. And what people normally do is they'll click on this open report, and it will take them to Power BI service. But do you know, before you even go to this, click on this open reports, you can just click on this get quick insights, and a lot of people don't even check this out. You've done your analysis on your data. Do you know you can tell Power BI to, you know what, I want you to give me some analysis on this data that I have here, and you can just click on get quick insights. And with this, you can now combine further analysis from what you have and what Power BI generated for you to even make your report more rich. Then you can sort of create a dashboard in Power BI. So with this get quick insights, it will just generate some interesting statistics and analysis based on my data. I've created my report, but I want Power BI to give me some nice analysis and insight for my report, which I may have not even thought about. Like this, I can see something really nice right here, serial number and quantity sold. This chart would have been nice. This also. And if I see something I like, I can now then go ahead and pin it to a dashboard. But that's even going way too far. That's going way too far. The first question I need to ask us is, how many of us here have created a dashboard? If you've created a dashboard, just type yes in chat and no in the chat. A dashboard, I'm talking of a dashboard in the context of Power BI. In the context of Power BI, have you created a dashboard in the context of Power BI or you've created a dashboard in probably Tableau, Excel. Okay. Okay, I can see yes in Excel. Yes in Excel. Okay, so my next question: What's the difference between a dashboard and a report in Power BI? Who? I wish I had gifts to give. Who can answer that question? A report and a dashboard in Power BI, are they different or are they the same thing?
Just to mention, actually, there's a price that we will give. So if you want to allocate that price, normally I used to tell you to ask question at the end and whoever gets it. So since this is a major question, then if you think that this is a price-worthy question, then whoever gives the correct answer, the first correct answer, if you thumbs it up, we award the price that we have. It's like a cost price. We can award it to that person.
Wow, that's fantastic. You know what, Michael? I want to
Yeah.
award it to the most active person. The most active
Okay.
person. So I
Okay.
don't know
We'll
if you
wait to
can help
the
me
end
keep
then.
track. Yes, yes. So,
Okay. We'll do that.
okay, dashboard on Power BI service, while report is on Power BI desktop. Okay. Report is more like an interactive dashboard. I disagree with that. Dashboard communicates with different tools. Okay. Okay, so AQ kind of got the correct answer, but didn't explain what a report is. Didn't explain what a report is, but it's fine. It's fine. So in Power BI, you create everything you create on the desktop version of Power BI is termed in Power BI. I'm talking of in Power BI. Don't misquote me. It's termed a report. Everything you create on the desktop version of Power BI. You can only create a dashboard in terms of Power BI in Power BI service. Power BI service. But for those who are using Excel or who are using Tableau, what a dashboard is normally like a snapshot of all your reports on a single page. That's what your dashboard is, which is very, very much logical as well. But in the context of Power BI, there's a little bit distinction, and there are things you can do on a dashboard which you cannot normally do on a report. There are things you can do on a dashboard in Power BI service that you can't normally do on a report. Okay, so what have I done right now? I've just showed us quick insights. So when you publish your report to Power BI service, you can just check for quick insights without doing much more things. And these quick insights, I think I can duplicate this page so that I don't miss it. Yeah, so I'll just duplicate the page. So that quick insight, we'll go back to it. I'll show some things about it. But right now we're on Power BI service. This is the service version of Power BI. And right now, when you see underneath here, we can see something called the workspace. This is the data central workspace. And what a workspace is basically like a container which houses all your various reports, your dashboard, your data sets, if that's what your workspace is. Your workspace is. For those who are familiar with SharePoint, who are familiar with SharePoint as well, so it's just like a SharePoint site or something like that. So if you are familiar with SharePoint, it's something similar like that. So in Power BI, when you publish a report, you can publish it to a particular container. A container could be my workspace. The reason why I didn't want to publish to my workspace has a limitation. You can publish it into a separate workspace, and you can even create a new workspace. And the process is very nice and easy for you to implement as well. So right now, I have this report published into this data central workspace. This data central workspace. No, you don't need to install any software to do it. Yes, so you don't need to install any service. This quick insight has been there in Power BI since before the inception of Fabric. So right now we have this workspace. So one thing we need to know is, why was Power BI created? Power BI was also created because it's supposed to be like a self-service BI tool. It's supposed to be a tool which you can do some nice analytics with, which doesn't necessarily require much IT to technical knowledge. Though should be told that Power BI, as you progress in Power BI, you gain a lot of IT and technical knowledge. So the point of it is that every member, every department in each organization should be able to create reports, control who can view certain reports, and also control how reports are being shared in your workspace. So in your workspace, by default, you have users in your workspace that can access your reports. Let me go to this data central, for example, which I just created. If I want to see the users in my workspace, I can do something called manage access. Manage access. Manage access. And by this manage access, I can add people or groups to this my workspace. Uh, I can search for other people within the workspace. But right now it's only me in this workspace. If I wanted to add one of my colleagues in my organization, maybe like a Pelumi or so, I'll just type his name, add him. Before I add him, I can specify the role that I'll be given to him. The roles, we have various type of roles in Power BI. You have the viewer, somebody that just can view reports basically in your workspace. You have the contributor, somebody that can create certain things in your report. Then you have the member, and you have the admin. These certain roles, they have their specific control settings that you have. And the reason why you need to know these roles, they are important because when you're working in an organization, when you create your reports, you have people that should be able to test your report, to be able to check the report, to just be able to check the report out. Then you have people that should be able to probably build more in the reports. Then you have people that should be able to control certain elements of your dashboard, your data sets, your report. And those are what the admins are. If you want to find out more about these roles, you can go to Microsoft Learn. You can click on this Learn More button. Learn More button. Then you'll find out more about the roles. Each role, this takes you to Microsoft Learn. Each roles they give you what each role and each member in those roles are meant to do in your workspace. So, so one other thing you can see is this settings icon. This settings icon is very, very powerful. A lot of people don't even know that a lot of things you can control them on this setting icon. And where you will find most of the value in is the admin portal. The admin portal. Though in your organization, dependent on your role, if you are using a developer account, don't worry, I'll get back to your question, Delvis. If you are using a developer account, you should have admin access to the admin portal. But in your own organization, if you are given the viewer role or the contributor or the member role, you wouldn't have access to the admin portal. So the admin portal, you can control how access to specific elements of your in your organization, in your organization, and the people that can access specific things in your organization. One thing you can do is right now we have something called Microsoft Fabric is available for people to do trial. For people to do trial, if you have access to the admin portal, what you can do is enable this for your entire organization, and people will be able to access this Microsoft Fabric in the admin portal. One thing you can also control is who can create workspace. So it's important to know that creating workspace is good, but you have capacity limit based on your subscription. What do I mean by this? Based on the subscription and role you have in Power BI, you have specific capacity. You have like gig storage set for you to utilize and members in your organization to utilize. So one thing you may want to control is the people that are just coming and creating workspace up and down. So you can turn this off if you want to. Another thing you can do in this tenant setting is maps. So one thing you can do is publish to the web. Publish to the web. This allows people to publish reports to the web and they can share the link. You can enable it, you can disable it. Some people disable it for the organization so that people don't share sensitive data outside the organization. Some people disable this. If yours is disabled by default, this is where, under the tenant settings, this is where you can easily enable it as well. You can also, the ability to allow people to copy and paste visuals, you can do that. Export to Excel. So for some reason it's disabled for mine. I can turn it on. For me, I can turn it on. The ability for people to download reports, I can turn it on and I can turn it off as well. The ability to use maps as well. The tenant setting has a lot of interesting and important features, which if you take your time, you can scroll through them, you can read through them, and this grants you abilities to do certain things at the tenant level, at your organization level, uh, in your organization. One thing you can find very useful is the ability to use maps. By default, I think is turned off. So you can turn on the ability to use maps in your organization in this place. One other thing you can check in the admin portal is the usage metrics. How many people are using your reports, your dashboards? How many of them are using the reports? How many dashboards do they have? You can check the number of users you have in your Power BI admins, in your Microsoft Admin Center. You can check the number of people that are using the premium per user plan, and you can check capacity, the capacity settings, that the capacity allocated uh, to users. So you can check this as well. Then refresh all the refresh that your reports have had, and embed codes, all the embed codes that were generated in your reports as well. So you can just check some of these features in your admin center, in your admin portal under your settings in Microsoft Power BI service. And this is where you can also turn on Fabric. I know a lot of us have been hearing about Fabric. You can turn on Fabric in your tenant settings, can enable Fabric, and you can start using Fabric on your organization. So right now, I'll just go back to the workspace. So we've published a report at the beginning. We published this report, main end-to-end projects. We publish this report. When you publish a report, you have the report published and you have the data set itself published. The data set published. And one thing to know is with the data sets, when the data set is published, you can refresh the data manually to allow the data to be updated when things are updated in the data, or you can do something called a schedule refresh. A schedule refresh will automatically refresh your data based on a specific time or period you set for your data. So you can do a schedule refresh for your data. So right now, I'm just going to click on the report. I want to see the report. I'll go back to schedule refresh later, but I want to see the report that was published. So this is the report that was published. This is the normal view people will see when they've published their report. So one thing you need to know is this report you've published, you can do a couple of things. You can decide to drop it in a chat in Teams. You can get insights. Get insight also works like that quick insights that I clicked on when I was in Power BI desktop that I got. You can share this report as a you can share this report, but for sharing this report, you only share this report with members in your organization. You can only share this with members in your organization. You cannot share it with members outside your organization. So that's one thing you need to know when you click on share report. You can either copy the link, mail, Teams, or PowerPoint. Then you can export the reports to analyze in Excel, and this gives you the ability to use it as a pivot table. I can do export analyze in Excel. It will create the Excel file, and for those that like Excel, you have the ability to do some nice Excel analysis with pivot table in Excel for your data. So let's just quickly load. So it's loading, just a minute. Okay, so yes, you have the ability to do, if you want to further go further and probably do pivot table analysis with your data, you can do it by exporting the data from Power BI. What happens is the connection is still on Power BI service or so, but you have the Excel data, so you can create your Excel report if you want. If you want to, you can do that by just exporting to Excel. You can export it as a PDF. So PDF makes it a static report, and you get the pages of your reports in the PDF. So export current values, exclude hidden report tab, only export current page. You can export everything else except for the hidden one, or you can do default values. Either one works. If you say only export current page, it will only export this page. It won't export the other pages. I can click on export. Then this exports the report as a PDF, and I can see it as well. So the question you would now ask me, how do we now share this report with users that are not in our organization? And how do people now end up sharing reports on sites like NoviPro? How do they post it on their portfolio? How do they post it on their link? To do this is very simple. You can just come to the file. So under the file, you add more settings you can do. You can come to this embed report, and you can do something called publish to the web. Publish to the web. It's important to know when you do publish to the web, you normally get a warning from Power BI telling you you should not publish sensitive data. Power BI always gives you that warning. You can do continue to warn you again, then you can publish to the web. And the moment you have this code, you can just copy this URL. Can copy this URL, and I can probably just drop it in the chat. Drop it in the chat for people. Just drop it in the chat so anybody else can be able to view the report. And from this same place, file embed, you can publish it to a website. So you can paste this. I'm sure a lot of us have seen a Power BI report on a website. You can paste the report can now be on that website for the people to use. But for this, you will have an iframe which the developer will do the necessary backend to make your reports to be on that website. You can also generate your report as a QR code. Okay, so these things are standard stuff. I know a lot of us probably know this stuff. A lot of us, if you've not known it, probably you're getting to know about it. It's all well and good. But what are some of the things that I find people don't often know? Do you know that you can subscribe to your report? What do they subscribe to your report means? You can create a subscription that every day, like every day at so time, it should give you like a snapshot of your report. It should give you like, let me come to this customer, for example, every day at maybe 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, I can create a subscription that it will send me this report I want. So every day, if this report keeps on changing, I just click on subscription, create subscription. My name is here. Attach full report. You don't need to do that. I can add the start date, and I can add an end date. So when should it start this? When should it end this? should it repeat daily? Should it repeat weekly? Should it repeat monthly? I can decide to do that, and I can set the time it should send this mail. So this mail by default will be sent to the user of the report, the creator of the report. But what if you are not the creator of the report and you want to use the reports? So that you want to get this alert. With this, you can now use something called Power Automate. Power Automate is another low code to just forward the email from this report to that person. So I'll just discard this. So subscribing to reports is one thing most people are not fully aware of. And once you're in Power BI service, so let me show people who are not aware of how to create a dashboard. Let me show you how you can create a dashboard in Power BI service. So under this, if I click on these three ellipses, I have this option to do what? Pin to dashboard. Pin to a dashboard. It's important to note there are two ways you can pin something to a dashboard. You can either pin each individual visual element. What do I mean? I come to this place, I can click on this pin button. For some reason, it's just moving up and down. So I can just click on this pin button here and pin visual, and I can pin it to a dashboard. I can pin it to a new dashboard, or I can pin the whole report page to a dashboard. I can do this, and I can do what? Pin to a dashboard. So pinning to a dashboard, this option pins the entire report page to a dashboard. If you already have a pre-existing dashboard, you can select existing dashboard. But if you don't, you can just give this dashboard a name. And I'll call this your biz test, right? And I'm going to pin live. So the moment I've pinned it live is telling me, should I go to the dashboard? Should I create a mobile layout for the report? I could have done either one, but I could just go to the dashboard. I didn't click on the go to dashboard, but where did I see the dashboard? I can come to this data central. Under this data central, I should see the dashboard. Yeah. So it has a logo. Yeah, and I can now click to view the dashboard. So what now the difference between the dashboard and your report? So this is a dashboard right now. Yeah. One thing that is good about pinning live is normally with the normal pinning, you won't be able to pin slicers with the normal pinning of your report. You won't be able to pin slicers, but with pinning live reports, you can be able to pin dashboard. So with this dashboard, so what are the things you can do on this dashboard that you can't do on normal reports? So one thing, you can subscribe to dashboard. I've showed us how to subscribe to dashboard, or you can add tiles to your report. You can add tiles to your report. You can create alerts on your report. And I'll show us how we can create simple data alerts on our report. I can add tile. I can just add a tile to my dashboard. And for this tile, I can add a video tile, and I'll click on next. I can add web content, image, text box. I can add a real-time streaming data. I would love to show that if time permits. But I'll just click on next for video. Video is simple. I'll just give it a title. The title of this video is probably your biz workshop or so. I'm hoping I can see some content on your biz on YouTube. So I can just post the YouTube link. Let me quickly see if I can see your biz edge on YouTube. So I can paste a YouTube link on that dashboard. So if you've recorded a promotional video of yourself on your dashboard, you can just paste it there as well. But let me just quickly use your biz edge. Okay, so maybe I'll just use this. So I'll copy this, then come here. Okay. This thing has come. This thing has come again. Sorry, the sharing button. I had to stop sharing. I'll share shortly. The team sharing button was blocking my view. So okay, so I've copied the URL. I'll paste it here. I'll paste it on the dashboard. Then I can do apply. I can apply. So it's important to notice YouTube or Vimeo that you can share on this tab. I can apply it. So the moment I apply it on this dashboard itself, somebody can come here and play the YouTube video on this dashboard itself. Can go ahead to play this and it would play on the dashboard itself. So this is one of the things you can do with the dashboard, which can normally do with the normal reports. Another thing you can do is you can do data alerts. But for you to do a data alert, you can only do data alerts on 3 types of visual as at now: a card visual, a gauge visual, or a KPI visual. A card, gauge visual, or a KPI visual. So let me just go back to the report. So I'm back to the reports. I brought in this page 1 because they contain a card, a KPI, and a gauge visual. They contain a card and a gauge visual. I can pin this visual. I can pin it to that Your Biz Edge, that dashboard I just created, that Your Biz test. I'm going to pin it to this existing dashboard. I can pin it, then go to dashboard. I've pinned this visual here. Okay, so by clicking on it, you go back to the report. But now that I've pinned this visual here, I can do something called a data alert. I can click on these 3 ellipses and I can set what to call a data alert. A data alert. I click on manage alerts. If there's no alert there, I can create a new alert. So what this alert means is if it's a KPI, if I've set a specific KPI, I've set a specific measure, a specific stuff that I want people to see. Maybe this 27 billion, maybe this data grows every day. I want when we reach 28 billion, I want to be notified when we reach 28 billion. I can now come here and create a rule, an alert rule. And all I just need to come here is specify a threshold. That means when it goes beyond this threshold, I should get an alert. So I can set the alert at every 24 hours, at every 1 hour. So I can send me email, send an email when it reaches this specific threshold, and I can save and close. So anytime when this data reaches that threshold, beyond that threshold, I will get a notification that on my email that, oh, this data has reached this threshold. It has passed this threshold. It has surpassed the specific threshold that we wanted to pass. So right now, I'll slowly be rounding up because I'm checking my time as well. And I know a lot of us may have some questions as well. So right now, I'm just going to do one major thing. So let's do a custom streaming data. Then I think with that, we can slowly round up. I'll just talk a little bit about Power BI mobile, then we round up. So with this, I'm going to add a tile. And for tiles, remember I said you can do a web content, image, text box, video, and custom streaming data. What custom streaming data means is in real time, the data will be updated. The data will be filled. You'll see the result of the data in real time. That's what custom streaming data means. So what you can do is you can add a streaming data set. You can add a streaming data set here. I click on add streaming data sets. You just need to set the API. You can use Azure Stream. It depends, but API is normally the easier method because the API you can use it with Flow, you can use it with PowerShell, and some other advanced tools as well. But you can let's just use API. I click on Next, and I'm going to call this your bees PBI. And I'm just going to do this as a simple form, name, email, and probably choice. So if you click on this, you see the data types you have. You have text, you have number, you have date and time, data type that you have. Yeah, so I'll just use this three. Then I'm going to do create. Maybe I should have added it. Well, it's fine. I'll just use this three. Then I'll do create. I'll create this custom streaming data sets. The moment I've created this custom streaming data set, what it means is it will be updating in real time as the data is being updated. And how can we see the practical effect of this? I have a form. Before the start of this, I created a form on Microsoft Forms. Let me just see. Let me see if I can get to forms. I created a simple forms on Microsoft Form. I'll just sign into Power Automate here because of time, and I'm going to scroll to the form I created on Microsoft Forms. See, click on this, then Forms. So it's just a simple form I created on Microsoft Forms. So the idea of this is that once people fill this form, my Power BI report is updated in real time, like immediately. People will get, okay, your BIS Power BI session. Once people come here and fill this form, people will get the data in real time. You will see it updated in real time. And we've done the Power BI streaming data set. Then now we have the forms already in Microsoft Forms. So it's just to use Power Automate to do this. And this is going to be very simple. I know if you've not used Power Automate before, you'll be thinking, oh, how can I get started? It's not a complex tool. It's not a complex flow that I'm going to show. It's just something very simple. And for you to get started, you can go to templates. You can check out the pre-existing templates. Some of the templates for Power Automate, which is part of the Power Platform tools, some of the templates are easy to replicate. Some are a little bit more technical, or you can come to the learn if you want to even learn about Power Automate. Just come to learn. You have a number of documentation on Power Automate and how you can get started with Power Automate. So for this, I'm just going to go to create under Power Automate, make.powerautomate.com. Create, you need an E5 or E3 subscription or a Power Automate subscription to utilize this. If you have a developer account, you already have that subscription, so you should be able to have access to Power Automate. If your organization has an E5 or E3 subscription, you should be able to have access to Power Automate. And one thing Power Automate has is environment. Environment, just like you have workspace in Power BI, environment is just like what's housing all your flows together in Power Automate. So for Power Automate, there are different types of flows you can create. You can create automated, instance, scheduled, desktop flows. This is something called RPA, and you can do some describe and design it. This is using Copilot, and you can do process mining as well. But for this automated cloud flow, what this means is basically, I know I'm checking my time as well, is when a specific
Sorry, Joseph, just about the time one. No worries.
Okay.
We are okay with. You can go as long as you want. So users, the participants, those who might not stay to the end, they can watch the recording of the part they miss. But no worries, you can, you know, do at your normal pace. We are okay to extend. Thanks.
Okay, that's fantastic. Uh, okay, that's fantastic. So we power automate, So thank you for that. So power automate. The first thing you have to do when you click on power automate is, and for this I'm doing automated cloud flow. What automated cloud flow means is when a specific event occurs, you want an automation to happen. You want some conditions of flow to happen when a specific event occurs. So that's what an automated cloud flow does. And with this, I click on it. So to get started, you first give the flow a name. You give the flow a name, and I'm going to call this uh, your beast flow. Your beast flow. And for this, you now have to specify a trigger. Trigger is what do you want to happen to start the flow. Basically, in this sense, we want when somebody fills the form, we want to update that Power BI data set, and in short, we'll be able to see the results. That's basically what it is. So in this sense, the trigger that we are going to use is when a new response is submitted, and I'm going to click on create, and it's going to create this flow in few seconds. So the moment I've created my trigger, I just need to specify the form ID. So what's the form ID? I will just select this particular ID, the particular form I'm talking about. So it's going to check through my Microsoft form and it has found this. Then the next thing is new step. The next thing is after you have your trigger, you can now give it your actions. You can tell it what you want to happen after the trigger. After this, when a new response is submitted. And the next thing I'm just going to do is get response. I just want to get the response of people. Get the response of people that submit the form, get response details. So the moment I do this, I just need to get this. I just need to select the form ID, which is your base session. The response ID will be, this is where I use something called dynamic content. Dynamic content is basically selecting what the trigger was. So it's basically selecting, looking at this trigger here and selecting what that response ID. So that dynamic content is giving me this. So dynamic value, I just select the response ID. Then the next thing I just need to do, the flow is almost done. The flow is almost done. I'll just do new step. And this, I just want to add row to the data set. Add row. So this is the next action that I'm going to take. Add row, and this is going to add rows to um, a data set. So when I type add row, I can now scroll down to check what are the stuffs that I have here. I can add row to Dataverse, but for this, I'll just select add row to a data set with Power BI. So this is add row to a Power BI data set. With this, I just need to specify what's the workspace I am talking about. Data Central is the workspace. Then the data set is your Biz Power BI. Then the table is the real-time data. That's the table name. The moment I have this, I can save it. I can save it. So right now, I think we can just quickly test this. I'll just drop this in the chat. I want somebody to just quickly fill it. So quickly fill it. So just quickly fill it. Then let's go to where's the Power BI? Okay. I think teams need to work on this sharing button that is on top. Sorry, I just had to stop it so I can click elsewhere on my screen. Okay. So the moment I've done that, so I want somebody to just quickly fill the form so we can just check that how that's going.
I filled the answer. And a trick about the Teams share stuff that covers your. So what I usually do is I drag my, as if you want to resize, you drag
Okay, the
the
screen.
yes, I drag it a bit under, go to where I want, then click again
Okay.
and put it back. I found that
Uh,
faster for me.
well, that's really annoying. I think teams really need to work on that. So right now we feel that so you fill that form, right? So let's check in our data center. Let me see if this was refreshed. What's the time right now? Okay, just want to be sure this. So let me. I'm just looking for the tile that where it dropped. Maybe I may need to add that again. The tile. Oh, the flow should have run. Okay, I'm going to add the tile. Let me go back. I just want to show the flow should have run successful. Okay, it's still running. That's surprisingly slow. I'm guessing it's just my network. And that's why the data set didn't refresh. Okay, so it's running. It's running. Okay, so once this runs successful, it's not normally this slow, but once it runs successfully, your data set will be updated. You see your data updated in real time as well. Okay, so not to drag us too much on that, but I just showed us, I just wanted to show us something a little bit extra, and I hope we appreciated that. So once it's finished running, maybe there's also some issues I may need to check out, but once it finished running, you should be good to go. So somebody asked a question, what's the limitation with uh, what are the limitation between my workspace and other workspace? So with my workspace, you can't create stuff like data flows. You can't create data flows. And what data flows is basically you using Power Query on the web. Power Query on the web. That's what your data flow is. So if you click on data flow, um, you will be able to create a data flow, and this just works almost the exact same way Power Query works on the web. All you just need to do is add new table, also add new table, and you will select your connector. It's loading. So I'm guessing I'm having some network issues, but surprisingly, it's not affecting my audio, but it's probably affecting my Power BI and Power Automation. But okay, so with this, once you click on this, you just need to select the connector that you have there. Okay. So you type it, you can search for the connector that you want, the data source. If it's Excel, if it's the web, anywhere basically. What this works is you first select the source, then uh, you can now go ahead to do your transformation, your ETL, your extract, transform, and load. So you can browse file or you can upload a file. You can upload a file to the place. You can browse files from your OneDrive. You can bring it in or you can upload file. You can upload file, select a place on your desktop, then probably bring it in. Let me see. Okay, let me just bring this in. I'm pretty sure this is not sensitive data. So I can bring this in. The moment I bring this in, yeah, so I can just click on next. So it's connecting to the data source. And the moment I've done this, I can now go ahead and I can select the table I want, and I can do transform data. So this is basically doing Power Query on the web. You can do your normal Power Query, ETL, extract, transform, and load on the web as well. So before I round it up, so one thing I just wanted to let us know is Power BI on Power BI service is very, very powerful. And Power BI mobile, you can get it from Play Store. What Power BI mobile is just basically for consuming your report on your mobile device. And if you have a Microsoft account, work or school account, you just need to sign into that account. You'll be able to view um, your mobile data, your mobile reports, your reports on your mobile. So it was created to be as you go type of service. That's what Power BI mobile is. So it's just for viewing your reports on your mobile as well. But Power BI service, you can do a lot of powerful things. And one thing they've introduced in Power BI service is something called Microsoft Fabric. And this gives the opportunities for data scientists, data analysts, and data engineers to work together on the same space. I didn't talk about Fabric today because I wanted it to be exclusively on Power BI as a whole, but I hope you can follow me on my LinkedIn, follow me on Twitter, and I hope maybe another session. If you're busy, have me. I would love to talk about that as well. So thank you everyone once again for your time and your patience.
Thanks. And we have a straight answer for that. Yes, is in fact I will tell Taiwo to maybe reach you and you can give us a date ahead that you want to come back. It's again all flexible for you. You know, if you want it to be in 1 year's time, in 1 month's time, in 2 weeks' time, in whatever, it's fully because again we know that it is not a paid engagement that you're doing for us. And it takes time. You know, for this 1 hour session, I'm guessing you spent, more than 1 hour putting all of this together. That was why I told you that we're very happy to let you take as many extra minutes because we appreciate all of these. So I think we have a winner. So I'm posting based on the criteria you gave. The winner is Delvis. He's been the most active participant today. So that's some good update for the team. Congratulations, Delvis. I've pasted in the chat how you claim your prize. Okay. So I'm checking. Are there other? I think some other questions have been there. I don't think there are so many questions that have come up since the last ones you handled. So if I scroll
Okay.
up, okay, you too can
Okay.
scroll. Oh, okay, great. There was one that I
Okay.
told the
So
person that you will answer. I think the person was. There
I
was one
think
I.
they always said,
Oh,
okay,
okay,
what are the
yeah.
limitations?
Limitations of my
Yeah.
workspace. Yes.
Yes, and I think I've highlighted that. So, like I said, on my workspace, you can create data flows as well. And there are some other couple of limitations, but one limitation which I found very, very annoying. Uh, Let me just cancel this. Was that in my workspace, that's your own workspace itself. If you click on new, you can see you can create data sets, you can create some other stores, but you can't create a data flow on my workspace. On my workspace, that's the default workspace you've been allocated on Power BI. There are other limitations as well. You may want to read the documentations as well. So will multiple page report lead to multiple page dashboard? No, so your dashboard on Power BI service is a single page of dashboard. If you want to print your multiple page of reports into a single dashboard, you can do it just like the process I showed you. You just need to pin live the page, the entire page. You can still that dashboard I showed you. I could still go on to add more and more reports to that single dashboard, that dashboard page. So I hope that answers your question, Delvis. Somebody asked a brilliant question is, uh, can I use Power Automate to automate Excel reports, please? Okay. Yes. So Power Automate, one thing I like to say is Power Automate can help you automate your life, basically. And in Excel, just like Power BI, in Excel, there's even a section for automate in Excel. No, that automate is more of TypeScript as well, but you can use Power Automate. Power Automate has different connectors. You can use Power Automate with Excel. You can use it with different tools. If you like productivity, one thing I like doing is working smart. Working smart. I don't like working repeat. Basically, all your repetitive tasks that you do, you can automate them to a large extent. If you want to learn more about Power Automate, you can reach me as well. Maybe I may have some sessions on that as well.
Thanks again. I'm sharing your. If you want to share your Twitter, I know you mentioned it, you can, but I know I already have your LinkedIn. So I'm resharing that so people can connect with you. And I think you've answered all the questions. So at this point, we have come to the end. Thank you to everyone who's stayed to the end. I can even see that the number, people came, people went, but as usual, I know people count on the recording. So we took the recording and hopefully as you keep joining these sessions, you keep adding to your knowledge. I noticed in the answers to the initial question of how well people have used Power BI, some people had not gone beyond the Power BI desktop. So this is a very, you've picked a very wonderful topic, to help them understand that there is a lot more to Power BI than just the desktop. In fact, I begin to explain the desktop as a companion tool, and that the Power BI service is now looking like the more, the real Power BI, and then the desktop is just like a companion tool, and
Mm-hmm.
it's becoming
Yeah, and
more like that.
I think the future of Power BI, they are heading towards the desktop doing almost everything, because with Fabric, one thing you can do is you can even write DAX on the service. You can do data modeling on the service as well, and you can do a whole lot more. But I'm sure the use of the desktop will still be very, very useful, but it goes beyond the desktop.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you
Thank you
very
very,
much
very
once again
much.
for having
Yeah.
me, Michael. It has
And
been an
please, we will be happy to have you again. Please, if you have a date in mind or month, a rough month in mind, I can tell my colleague to just follow up with you. And again, any topic you pick within the Power Platform, it's appropriate to our audience. So
okay.
thanks and Okay. So everyone, thank you very, very much for being part of today's session, and have a wonderful week ahead. Thank you. Bye. Thank you. So I'm ending this session now.